This video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon. Hi guys, I'm here with another Brigitte video, and in this video I'm working on her larger shoulder pauldron. So to start off, I've already cut out all of the pieces in EVA foam. It's 6mm EVA foam, and here I'm just attaching the pieces together. So I'm taking the outermost section, or the front section of the large armor, and gluing that to this rectangle strip that I made to be the side of that armor so that it pops out the way that it should. This rectangle piece is about 4 inches wide, and I just roughly measured about how long I needed it to be and added a couple more inches just for some security and cut off the excess once it was glued on. Here I'm creating the bolt piece, and to create this I layered 2 layers of 6mm EVA foam together and cut off the edges and took a Dremel to round it out, or smooth it out, like make it beveled so that it looked more like a bolt shape, and then glued that on with contact cement. If you want any of these templates or patterns, they're available on my store Envy or Etsy if you prefer shopping there. Sorry, that was so much to cover in such a short time. I didn't get much footage of a lot of these pieces. So now we're moving on to the next part, which is attaching this back piece of her shoulder, which is the silver part. But before I can attach it, I need to smooth out all of the edges and add the details. So one of the details I'm adding is this half dome or half circle shape edging to the sides. You can now buy those. They're just foam dowels. They're in a lot of shops that sell cosplay supplies. But if you don't have any, like I didn't, you can make them. I took rectangle strips, like really thin ones, of 6mm EVA foams, and then cut off a bunch of excess and used my Dremel to smooth it all out and round it out. And then I glued all of those pieces together and glued that around the outermost edge of this soon-to-be silver piece. Once the foam dowels were glued on, I went ahead and glued the back piece to the front section we had just made using contact cement. Now I'm getting ready to glue on the last couple of larger pieces to this pauldron, which includes the lower silver piece and this belt-shaped piece. I used a heat gun to help shape it around the shoulder better and use contact cement to glue it in place. And before gluing in this lower silver piece, or soon-to-be silver piece, I went ahead and Dremeled all of the edges, adding a bevel along the bottom to mimic the reference photo I was looking at. And then I glued that on with contact cement. I took 4mm EVA foam and glued on these, or made these little bolt pieces, and then glued this onto each bottom section of the soon-to-be back silver piece. The belt is also 4mm EVA foam, by the way. Then I started to mark out where I wanted the battle damage to go, and as you can see here, I've already added in some of the smaller like carved in details using my Dremel. I'm taking my Dremel again to add in the battle damage I had just marked out. And all you have to do is just angle your Dremel and scratch away at the foam. Once that is finished, I go ahead and start priming it using wood glue, and I do maybe 3 to 5 layers of this before I'm happy with the priming and move on to the painting. In between a couple layers of wood glue, I go ahead and apply Bondo's glazing and spot putty to any seam lines or areas that I feel need some extra smoothing out. Let that dry, sand that down, and then do a couple more layers of wood glue. And here I've moved on to the painting. I've already painted everything silver by this point, as you can see here in the video, and I tried to paint it yellow, but the yellow, no matter how many layers I added, just would not become opaque enough. So I decided maybe I should apply a white base first and paint yellow on top of that. So I did a couple layers of white until the white was fully opaque and applied yellow paint on top of that, and it worked out a lot better, as you'll see here in a moment. And I only had to do about 2 layers of the yellow. All of the paint I'm using, by the way, is acrylic paint, and after I finish painting it, I always coat it, gloss it, whatever, with a glossy spray paint. I take a silvery white paint mix and paint the belt section with that color, and again it takes a couple layers. Once it's all finished, like I said, I coat it with a glossy spray paint, move on to shading, which I use oil paints for, and then top it off with another coat of glossy spray paint. But this is all the footage I happen to have of the shoulder piece, so you won't see the shading and stuff, but I do it exactly how I do it in every other video I've shown it in. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Have a lovely day, and stick around for more videos. Bye!